Well, everyone is lucky. I'm finally feeling better, more frisky. Frisky enough to give you 2 videos this week. So I'm mastering the painting video that's going up, and in that time I'm going to talk about overdoing it to death and ruining your own creativity. It's something that happens to everyone. It doesn't matter what creative field that you're in. It doesn't matter what topic you're talking about. It doesn't matter what what hobby you have. I had gotten into this channel, Dusty DM, and I'd gotten very excited and enthused, wildly enthused. It's just a thing that happens. Yeah, I need to adjust the camera so you can see the thing I make. Duh. So I had gotten hyper enthused to a point where instead of spending my time on break at work doing anything else, I was going to work and contemplating topics. I had one of my many journals because I have a problem with keeping too many fucking journals. I do. I hate it. But I swear it's supposed to keep me organized. It doesn't, not one bit. It just means my thoughts are scattered, and sometimes my coffee thermos spills over while I'm driving and ruins months of work and thoughts. Either case, I had one journal, had a list. It was probably 20 pages long by that point, covering with every topic bullet listed that I wanted to cover on the channel. And my latest, I don't know, adult Trapper Keeper, I guess. It's one of those fantastic 5-star, like they have the 3 rings that open up, and it's just a soft cover, and it's real floppy. It's real great. You can add stuff to it. It's full of graph paper, and inside of that is a whole bunch of episodes. They're all broken down. They're all singular ideas that are stepped out, ready to roll. They're bullet listed so I can one of these days get a music stand and actually look over at stuff and remember, because personally I do better with note taking when I write out everything in a bullet list and then take a quick glance. I don't need to know every bullet back and forth. I just need to know the overall, because it'll click in my brain and open up whatever save files I have up there that need to come out. They're done. There's 16, 18 different episodes in there that are done, all topics. And you're wondering probably, well, why don't you stick to once a week? Why are you having such a hard time sticking to a once-a-week video schedule? Your guess is as good as mine, honestly. I have all the time in the world to do this kind of stuff. I have all the time in the world to prep. And then when it comes to it, I've thought myself to death. It's a massive problem. It's a problem that everyone's going to have. And in dungeon mastering or running any game, if you are the person in control of creation, in homebrewing, in running a boxed adventure, you're going to want every kernel in your head. You're going to want all of it. You're going to get enthused. You're going to want deep lore. I've got, for the sake of the Giradan setting, I've got everything back to day 1 written. In the history of Giradan, I have the first 28,000 years covered, and then I have the first 1,200 years of existence covered. I have one continent that exists that nobody's played on yet. It has an overview map. It has a long plot that I want to work on. But I've had a hiccup where I haven't played lately because my exuberance is spent during the week, 70-hour work week, staring out a window, daydreaming, thinking, developing, adding, to a point where I've thought myself to death. I don't want to move anymore. My brain hits a point where I get this anxiety that, well, it's not going to be what I'm thinking about, and it's not going to go where I want it to go. So I'll just avoid it. Just put it off. Just kick it down the field. Think about other stuff. That's why I can't. That's why I've had such trouble sticking to a week-to-week schedule where I actually put up a video once a week. I've had plenty of weekends where I should have just sat and recorded all through Saturday. Should have spent all day getting some thoughts, getting some topics done, getting them in the can, getting them ready. But I didn't, because my brain kept telling me, run further, keep going. You can think further. You can think further. You can think further. And then suddenly Monday's coming. Sun's coming up on Monday and haven't put an episode up. And then I hit the trap of spending all week thinking, well, when I get home at 2 a.m., I'm gonna sit and do it. I'm gonna sit and I'll grab any topic out of the notebook and I'll do a video on it. I don't. And then the next weekend comes by. I blame it on waiting for inspiration. I blame it on waiting for the spark. It doesn't come. Everyone's going to have it. The only way through experience that I've ever pushed through it is by hitting the low. When it came to working on Garadan, I was going to start with a novel because I'm all about exploring my personal fascination with the open license to create 5th edition products, the old license to create 3.5 edition products. I don't care about stats. That's not a hang up for me to not create products. I can figure out whatever I need to do for all that. I like creating. But the problem is I like it so much that I can give you not just a roll table, D100 roll table of every building that's going to be on a block in a mega city, in a mega town. I can tell you how many of those buildings have more than one floor. I want to draw the map of every building, of every floor, top to bottom. I want to. It's an innate urge to do all that. What's behind him? What does the milliner do when he's not working, when his storefront is closed? He's got a house in the back of it. What's inside of it? Things. What's the milliner do for fun? I can run off on that and feel that hyper stoke about, that's probably about the only way to say it, but that sort of game master, dungeon master, it's almost like excitement porn, it's just creativity porn for yourself. You're running off on those thoughts instead of actually getting ready to do anything. You got game night coming up on Sunday. The last time your party left off was at point X. So you spent the week thinking about where they're going to go. And now you have this grand, sprawling design of where it's going to end up. You haven't even developed their next step on the map of where they are. It's easy to relate this to dungeon mastering. It's extremely easy to relate this through the experiences that I've had where no matter what, whether I've had a good week of getting ready for gameplay, Hannah and I have played lots of weeks one-on-one. Even if I spend all week getting ready for the next session, and I spend the week being hyper focused about the session, if I don't feel nervous when I start playing, even after, good Lord, 20 years, if I don't get nervous, I'm doing something wrong. It doesn't matter that I've prepped right. It doesn't matter that I have all the answers. It doesn't matter that I have answers to questions that haven't even been raised or thought of at this point. It matters that I'm that engaged with what I'm doing that the excitement causes the anxiety of, I hope I get this right. I really hope I get this right. And I have to feel that. And sometimes I just end up the same way you have, dungeon mastering. Scuttle the ship, I have no fucking clue where it's going. Because you've thought yourself to death. I know this sounds almost like a cyclical conversation that I'm having with myself. But anybody that's been in this seat before, anybody that's doing this for the first time, if you are new to dungeon mastering, you're going to feel this forever. And that's okay. It's all about learning exactly where your stop point is. As difficult as it sounds, you need to find a point where you have put into the thing that I genuinely love this. The wall in front of me, the wall behind me, the room in front of me. Dungeons and Dragons has been one of my mainstay hobbies for my entire life, damn near my entire life. There still has to come a point where I make an effort to say, I've put enough in for this week. If I put any more in, I'm just setting a minefield for myself. And I'm going to hit that point of disdain where I don't want to now because I've thought about it too hard. Where day 3, day 4, suddenly I'm working on a hand-drawn map for the 9th day in a row. I should have known by the end of day 1. Let's come back to this. And from where I'm sitting, actually, for example, like the other week, the video of the clearance scores that I got from Comics Connection or Comic Store West. Hero Quest, I don't know, whatever game that was. Had these dudes in it. That's almost a month ago at this point, but I felt silly because I don't know why those keep ending up on clearance. They're not even in stock. I think they're coming from one of the managers clearing out some shelves at home or something, but they end up back at the shop and on the clearance rack dirt cheap. But I found knights that I bought out of that same game 15 months ago. I hadn't even glued them together. I hadn't taken them out of the bags that they were in because they're that goofy resin. They're that goofy soft plastic. You know exactly what minis I'm talking about. But they're three-part molds. You glue them together quick and they're good to go and ready to paint. I'd taken them out of the box because I hate keeping boxes and cluttering my shelves with boxes. I'd rather just leave my minis laying around. But I had taken the bags out of the boxes. I hadn't even opened them. That's not good for me. Because at least the bottom shelf that I have, it's 4 feet wide. Or 6 feet? No, 5 feet wide. 90% of those minis are primed. 30% are painted. At least one layer. And they're making their way to the display shelf. The guys that I bought a month ago have been on the holders that I made the other week on the molding video. They've been tacked to those for 3-4 weeks now. They're sitting over right on my shelf that I sit next to every morning, every night, whenever here in the living room. They're around me. I sectioned off. I sectioned off what parts of them I wanted to work on. I bought them because I wanted to work on their skirt thingies, I guess is the only way I could put it. They're like kilts, I guess, but the cloth looked really fun to work with. So all of them have their cloth painted. I'd painted a few of them. I painted the flesh in one scheme, and I didn't like it after I finished the skirts. So they're all getting repainted flesh tone. If I were to sit and hammer out all of these guys in a weekend, I wouldn't pick up a paintbrush for 3 months, and I know it. Because I'd push too hard, and it burned me out. They've been sitting here for 3 weeks, and it doesn't bother me one bit that I picked up other minis and painted them. Finished the skeleton golem thing. Got my other clockwork dragon started. Have some other projects. The way for me to mitigate points that I've experienced before, where I buy excuse me, last time I did it, probably 2005, spent an ungodly amount of money on an orc army, brand new in the box, and on a disgusting amount of money. I was so happy about it. Walked in the comic store, or I went to Comic Store West back when I was on 30. That's how long ago this was. At least a decade. But I spent probably $1,400 on everything orc that they had. I took it home, and I sat, and I assembled everything. And then I think my brother-in-law ended up having them unpainted in the old hard shell transport cases, because the amount of energy that I put into putting them all together, sitting probably 4 or 5 straight days from 3 o'clock in the morning until midnight again, gluing everything together. Good Lord, it had to be 600 or 700 mods. It is a lot of minis. Because it was, I think it was 2 of the Skull Pass starter sets. Good Lord, it was a lot of minis. It was a lot of money, too. But as soon as I finished them, all the paint that I bought, all the paint that I had already collected, paintbrushes and everything, didn't touch them for years. Because I burnt myself out on it. And I didn't even start. The biggest thing is to do anything like this, to be a good dungeon master, to be a good content creator, to be a good employee, a good whatever it is you do, to write, to be a good writer, to be... Shit, I got a couple of novels that are not available. Haha. To be good at something is to learn how to find the place where you need to turn your passion back. Turn it back just enough so that you don't overdo it and you don't think yourself to death and forget why you started in the first place. Which is because you love a thing. And when you stop loving it, it's because it feels like work. That's no fun at all.